I get a lot of questions from people about what I use for crappie fishing. Far as line size, 6-pound test is probably preferred by far by me. And I use a 7-foot rod. And this 7-foot rod here is what's called light and slow. And it's kind of parabolic, kind of loads up pretty good. And so that always is a kind of an asset to being able to sling a bait a little bit farther. I use 2500 series reels. The reason I do that is because I do bass fishing too, and I want to have a reel that can handle it. Plus the bigger diameter that the 2500 has, you have less coils in your line, a little smoother. It actually will shoot farther, has a better release. So that always is a plus. Having a good stout rod, gives you an opportunity to bring in the bigger fish, where I could horse them just enough. You have to be able to pull them a little bit and try to drag them. Anytime you got monofilament on too and they're way out from you, you got that stretch to deal with. If you get them up close, you better start loosening up the drag if you've got them away from cover and be able to take that real fast surge where they can snap your line real quick. It's just like whenever you get hung up. If you pull on that line just slowly, a lot of times that hook will bend just enough that it'll pop loose. But if you go like that, it breaks it almost every time. So, that's just part of knowing the action of your bait, your line, and your rod. A lot of different types of baits out there that will work for crappie fishing. I mean, there's tons of different types of baits to use. But, I pretty much stay with one particular brand. They've got a real small bait that's 1.25 inches. When we have our shad hatch, those, if you look and you see them in the water, you can tell they're only like 1 inch to 1.5 inches long. So I'm really big on match the hatch. I mean, that's a big deal to me. So what I start out with in midsummer, which normally about mid-July, is you start seeing these shad everywhere, and so I want to use that little itty bit. So the next bite will come up as they get bigger. I go a little bit bigger, and we got a bait called Romar that was like 1 3/4 inches long. And then after that, we got to go to like the baby shad style baits that are 2 1/4 inches long. And then later on, and whenever, let's just say back in the spring, I start going to maybe even a bigger bait, because again, I'm just trying to match the hatch. And right here is a 16th ounce head, okay? And this is my preferred head for crappie fishing, probably 90% of the time, just because the 16th ounce head skips a lot better going under the water, under the docks and what have you, because what it does is it just stays up, and whenever I throw a 1/8 ounce in there, I can sometimes make it skip good, but sometimes it wants to just hit the water and just die. So whenever somebody says they only want one good suggestion, that 16th ounce head, whatever brand you use, that's going to be your best bet. That's the 32nd ounce. You can see it's about half the size. And what I use with this 32nd ounce is I shoot a little itty bit bait, which is from Bobby Garland. You can see this 1 1/4 inches long, and it takes a smaller jig head to handle that, okay? And so we had them design this bait just for the itty bit for me, and so it really does work great. And then I'll either use this little 32nd still yet with this live Romar, or I will step up to a 16th ounce head, which this is the 16th ounce heads. And every one of them, you see this coil spring on there. And once you push that bait up to that coil, it will just screw right on up to the head, and you'll not ever have it come off without, and once maybe tear the tail off, then you have to replace it. And then we step up to maybe a little bigger bait. And now this, not always my favorite color, but there's times whenever that white and chartreuse can dominate. And so I always have available just in case. But my favorite colors is typically on this lake is going to be the blue ice, monkey milk. They got a purple monkey, but those look natural. They look more like what our shad look like. And this, you can tell that's a bigger head. And so when I'm fishing deep, I'll put maybe a bigger style body on, and there's several different blends of that. We got these right here are called slab huntars, and you can tell that they're a little bulkier bait. And so, you place those two together, and I normally just use this when I'm fishing deep because of the weight and wanting to be able to control it. And so that's a great combination there. But that's kind of the key to my crappie fishing. And I'll use this for bass fishing at times as well. And it's just an altogether, perfect rod size for the way I like to fish.